Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. How you doing?
Good. I was so warm last night.
It has been extremely bitter cold. I think it's supposed to be up to 50 by Thursday.
I mean, we broke the planet. Well, it's an El Nino year, is what I've heard. An El Nino winter.
Right.
And that's certainly proving to be the case. Like, it's some weird shit going on.
So I have these earbuds in, and I can't believe how crunchy my toast is.
Oh, it's pretty crunchy?
I'm just hearing it just like a monstrous crunch. The kind of crunch that if you were watching a cartoon, the word crunch would come out.
Well, I think you're hearing what's happening in your head because it's muffling the outside world too.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, it probably does sound pretty crunchy. This is what I know about toast. This bread is a little stale.
Yeah, I would agree.
Even if bread is stale,
right,
and you toast it, you can tell.
It doesn't really help, does it?
Well, I think you got to kind of put a little
moisture
back in it.
You got to put a little back on it.
Oh, yes.
Put a little something in it. Should we tell the secret? Am I allowed to tell the secret?
What's the secret?
The secret is this is the third time that we've tried to do this podcast.
The third time for this one?
Yes, I think so.
No, you're wrong.
Oh, you're right. It's not the third time for this one.
This is the second time.
The second time for this one, but we also did a second time for the other one.
Because I'm figuring things out.
Well, we've got the new microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had it plugged into like one of these little USB hubs, and I feel like
they're not made for that.
Yeah, it probably isn't.
Well, yeah, it's such a small little thing, and I don't think it's made to take both of the inputs.
Yeah, I mean that was my theory, but I tested when I would test the audio. It wouldn't sound bad.
That's right.
And then we would start the podcast and it would all go shit.
Don't DP your little thing, guys. Get yourself another one.
Double penetrate your USB hub.
Do not DP your USB hub.
So I just got, they're plugged into two separate inputs right now. If we had to do this one again, would you just quit?
No, babe, I would not quit. I would never quit. 70 times 70 times I will do the podcast with you.
Okay. Well, then we're fine.
It's very biblical, folks.
Very. So while I was laid up post-surgery, that all went really well. There was a moment there where I thought it was going to be pretty shitty because the anesthesiologist said I was supposed to be off of one of the medications that I had taken the day before.
You were told, oh, by the way, you messed up.
I said, nobody ever told me that. My doctor was there and he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. And I'm like, my doctor didn't know. Okay.
You are not instilling confidence with me, with this doctor.
The problem with the medication was that it slows digestion, which I've never noticed on this medicine. You run the risk of aspiration, which is like puking into your lungs while you're under.
That's bad, folks.
He was like, well, I'm not going to be able to put you out, which was my fear going into this. I was fine with like fear of death and all that stuff. I have no problem. But the anesthesia is a problem because they always figure out some reason that I have to be more awake than I should be. And I see too much, I hear too much, I feel too much.
Well, you had a colonoscopy that one time, and you said you felt everything that they did.
But anytime I tell that story to a healthcare professional, they think I'm a loser and I'm a baby because they always say, and even in this instance in front of my mother brought it up, I didn't. And the anesthesiology assistant said, well, before we were putting people out, that was just how you did it. And everybody didn't get anything.
Really? That's like somebody saying, well, they used to have babies on the prairie and they just used to just squat and drop them and then get back in the wagon. I mean, there's a reason we don't do that anymore. Did you ever watch the Oregon Trail? People died.
Yeah. Well, have you seen like that 1883 or whatever?
Yes.
They have a whole montage in that.
They do. They have a full Oregon Trail montage.
I like Tyler Sheridan, even though I don't agree with his politics necessarily. But We started watching Bass Reeves. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 1883 or 1893. I can never remember the year.
Right.
But that was probably my favorite one of the prequels so far because I loved just like how many people died on the Oregon Trail. And I can see in real life, you know, that game we used to play as kids, the Oregon Trail.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
And it would be like, oh, you died of dysentery. I can totally see how that happened.
Okay, this person got snaked, but this person had a wagon wheel roll over them.
Any injury whatsoever back then would be, yeah. I mean, deadly.
You're going to die.
No antibiotics, no nothing. The guy came in while I was like getting ready for the surgery and they were sticking stuff all over me. And he said he was wrong. He looked at the guidance again and mine was on that literature, but as the one that was okay.
There you go.
So I got the good stuff and I only woke up twice on the operating table, both times to something very pokey and very cutty. And I was like in that little breathing mask. I was like, ow. And she goes, you're fine.
The persons that are gassing you are gaslighting you too.
Yeah, right. You're fine.
You're fine. You will not remember this.
Squirt some more in me.
It's so cold, folks, that you only can use like insulated cups because otherwise your coffee is just going to be like
lukewarm.
Yeah, which is like, what's the point of lukewarm coffee?
So while I was laid up, actually before my surgery, we went to see Godzilla -1.
Godzilla!
Which was amazing.
We went in really not knowing what the movie was going to be about. We knew it was a Godzilla movie. That's what we knew.
I don't think I ever even saw a trailer for it. It was just, I mean, all you got to tell me is Godzilla or King Kong, and I don't care.
You're like all in. Yeah.
I don't need to see the trailer. I'm going. We got there, and about like 20 minutes in, I turned to you and I said, oh, this is like all subtitled. It's going to be all subtitled. It's like a foreign film.
Yeah, you didn't know it was a foreign film.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Right.
And that made me even more excited.
And it ended up being like, okay, without Godzilla, if the name of the movie was just -1, it would have been a great movie.
Yeah. About this like kamikaze pilot
who
didn't kamikaze.
Dealing with the aftermath of World War II, in Japan and the way that everything, basically they were living in like a garbage dump in like rubble for like years. Well, it was
where his childhood home had been.
Right.
But, of course, the United States laid to rubble pretty much everything.
And he got a gig where they're like blowing up mines. So, and as soon as you hear the gig that he's blowing up mines, you're thinking, oh man, how bad is this going to get? Apparently the blowing up mine gig is a pretty damn good gig.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not very difficult to do it, and it's not super unsafe either.
You had to be in a wooden boat because I guess the mines were...
They were magnetic.
So they would attach to like a metal ship.
So you're in like the world's like dingiest little fishing boat.
It's like the fishing boat from Jaws.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. In the movie, there is definitely a whole section of the film that is calling back to Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like hauling ass and, the Godzilla's ridge is like following them. And I mean, it was great. It was great, and it had real emotion to it, and I highly recommend it. The other thing about it is just from a film perspective is it was extraordinarily inexpensive. It was like that whole movie is a $15 million budget, and it looks as good as a Marvel movie.
Dude, like I was sitting there the whole time going, how is this $15 million?
Well, and then you saw, and then Godzilla was doing the ridge thing.
Oh, when his like ridges down his spine pop up.
You love that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's like you're building up. I sent you an Instagram of a little Godzilla toy that does that, and it's crazy how much you'll consider buying a toy like that, as an adult. And then you finally got to see a couple of the movies that, I had seen Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. You had not seen it. Mm-mm. But neither of us had seen Killers of the Flower Moon. And I would say that those are two movies that are definitely going to be nominated for Best Picture.
Oppenheimer, had a terrible problem with women. Look, how many times do I have to tell male writers this? There are women in their damn lives who are having conversation with them, who are integral to comings and goings in their life, listening to them blow off about something that they tried that was unsuccessful. They're having, conversations over breakfast and dinner. Women are a part of your life, but they get written out.
It's very interesting to me because the way that these films write women, the women start out so much more interesting. In their first scene, they always get
the introduction of the
female character is like, oh, okay, this is an interesting thing. Florence Pugh, okay, we're going to get into a little discussion here about, physics and black holes and stuff.
Obvious reason why they would be interested in this female.
But then once the guy gets them, all of a sudden making sandwiches. They're making sandwiches again.
Well, they have to turn into the mother, the whore, the whatever.
Right. They have to turn into basically this appendage that is just like, I'm here to serve, the great man.
Right.
And it's just like, was she to you?
No. It's
what did she do for you?
In a horror movie, at least they're honest, where sex is brutal, and if you have sex in a horror movie, that means you're probably going to die.
Well, yeah, that's that old 80s thing, the virgin rule.
You got to stay sexless.
Right.
To be a main character.
Right.
And that's kind of true in movies, because as soon as a wiener goes in you, all of the interesting shit about you gets sucked out.
So the wiener is sucking out everything interesting about the woman.
To be a woman who's with one of those kind of like savant men, you have to be smart.
Oh God, yes. But that's the whole thing. They establish in that first scene, both of those women are smart.
You have to be interesting.
Yes.
You have to be, you have to be understanding, and you have to probably, take care of them maybe in ways like, but I read something, there was a thing, an excerpt from a letter that Einstein had written his wife, and she left him. Thank God. But it was like, you have to do what I say. And if I don't want to talk, you don't talk to me. And when I say I'm done talking, I'm done. And it was just like, fuck you, dude.
Right.
Fuck you. This is not a marriage. This is me waiting on you.
Right.
This is me being your mommy.
Right. Right.
I mean, there were really 3 female characters that had anything to do in Oppenheimer. There was also the one who was kind of like leading the resistance.
Right. But
she had one scene.
In Killers of the Flower Moon, the same thing happens. Mm-hmm. Okay. Lily Gladstone is there with her girlfriends. She's smart. Mm-hmm. She knows exactly what this guy is doing. Oh, this guy's trying to get my money. She's laughing about it. She has this relationship with her sisters. She has she has, her friends.
Her mother's complicated.
It's great. And then, well, I'm so obsessed with him, I'm going to turn off my brain.
Yeah, I'm going to let him poison me.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, whatever. He's so cute. He'd never hurt me. Wait a second. You said he was after your buddy.
That is based on a true story. And I don't know what all went on, like in the writing of that character. That's the problem
with based on a true story, because I think what happens...
It's a get out of jail free card.
Right, exactly. It's like, wait a second. Could that actually be... Is that actually what happened?
Look, it can be based on a true story and still hose the character.
Absolutely.
Because it's your interpretation of how they got to a certain place.
Yeah, we want to lift up the characters. I mean, obviously, we lifted up Leonardo DiCaprio's character in it to where, he was conflicted. Yeah, right. With what his father, not his father, his uncle Robert De Niro was doing.
But his uncle is sitting there telling him to give these shots to his wife. And his uncle's sitting there telling him to go kill people too. Her relatives.
Right.
He's a piece of garbage.
Oh, he is. Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing. Lily Gladstone is probably going to win the Oscar. Okay?
I hope she does.
And I hope she does. And I think she is great in the movie. But I feel like she's getting an Oscar for the actor that she could have been in this film, and not the actor that they let her be in this film.
Well, I mean, that's the writing.
Yeah, it is.
That's the writing.
I mean, she was doing as much as she could with what she had.
Oh, yeah, she was chewing it.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, for the last third of the movie,
she's in bed.
You're just laying
barely
in bed,
speaking.
just looking worse.
Yeah. I mean, she had like zero relationship with her children. I don't know where her children were during all of that.
I mean, look, when people are sick, when people are dying, they get introspective, man. You start to have deep conversations with people.
They were giving her insulin, which was probably the poison.
Maybe, yeah.
And then they were giving her
something else
in a vial, which I would conjecture around that time might have been laudanum,
right,
or some sort of opiate,
something to get her high.
Could have been straight morphine. I don't know, but when dude gets curious about it,
he tries it.
He tries it in his liquor, and I didn't see really anything it did.
Well, I mean, he kind of did the Leonardo. He did that thing.
He was like, I mean, maybe he was more drunk.
Yeah,
but it was like, that wasn't the poison part.
Right.
That was like the part to ease the pain of the poison. I think the insulin was the poison.
The insulin was the poison.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really amazing movie. It was too long. It really was too long.
It was too long. You could have done a lot of those killings kind of back to back, and you could have done a lot more killings.
Right.
If you would have run a montage of killings.
Right. Well,
because here's the thing.
Well, once Jesse Plemons got there, the movie started to move again.
Well, that was like the second part of the movie.
Right.
They were killing her sisters and killing people, but we never really had any care for them. I didn't know who the hell they were. I mean, they were her sister. That's sad, but so they didn't build the characters. So in my opinion, if you're not going to build the character so that we care when they die, then just kill them in a montage.
Right.
And just overwhelm us with how many people they're killing.
Right.
And then we'll be like, oh, these people suck, right?
Right. Go Oregon Trail on them.
Yeah.
It's just like, the snake bit.
That's the best montage in that show. If nothing else, just watch that montage. I love it when the girl raises her petticoats, to go pee at a tree, and she gets bit in the ass by a snake. It's great. It's great. And I'll tell you what, as much as, Tyler Sheridan's a conservative white male, he writes women really well.
He does. Lioness. We've talked about Lioness. We love that show.
He writes them like they're just people.
Yeah, they're just people. They are central to the action. Sometimes they're leading, sometimes they're following, but they're always involved.
It's like a 50-50 relationship with the women.
Always involved.
Like even in the 1921, when Harrison Ford's so sick, I mean, the woman steps up and takes care of business. Oh man, the woman steps up, and then there's also the guy in Africa and the woman he meets is amazing. Yeah, I just don't understand why screenwriters, why movies want to portray this idea that a strong man isn't with a strong woman.
That's true. It's
why
like
would you be attracted
it's like they
to
feel like they
less?
have to balance it out. Like, okay, if we have a strong man, we have to have a weak woman.
We have to make the woman weaker.
That's right. If we have a strong woman, we have to have a weak man.
It's a 1950s housewife mentality that they're portraying. And I'm sorry, 1950s housewives were badasses.
Absolutely.
Okay? They were.
That's
super
right.
inventive.
Rosie the Riveter, baby.
I don't allow it.
No, absolutely not.
In my writing.
No.
I wish that more people wouldn't allow it.
You have the power. You are the god of that paper, folks. Change it. Fix it. It can be fixed.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon. So I did really like it.
So I got this amazing blue sequined jacket for Christmas.
Right. Your brother got it for you.
Right. My brother got it for me. Tracy, you need to show a picture of this at this point so that people see this.
Well, this is a podcast, so...
Okay, that's true. I forget that. I will describe it this way. It's like a Letterman jacket.
Well, a Letterman jacket, it's like one of those, it's like a Letterman sweater.
Yes, that is what it's like.
It's a Letterman sweater vibe.
It's like a ooh Buddy Holly sweater.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is. Right. So it's a Happy Days sweater.
Yeah, like it doesn't have buttons.
Right. Happy Days sweater, but it's all blue sequins.
Yeah, little tiny blue sequins, which catch on each other.
Right. That's the other thing. It's like whenever you have your arm next to you and then you pull, it's always caught. And you have to shake your arm. You got to do like a little chicken thing here to get rid of it. It happens all the time when you wear this thing.
But
it's worth it, though.
Cool.
It's absolutely worth it because I wore it to a networking event. This guy who I have known for a very, very long time, have never really had a lot of personal, like, one-on-one connection.
He's always very in demand.
He is so in demand. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants to work with him. He walked up to me. He wanted to take a selfie with me with the jacket. And he was like, I never do selfies. Boom. So he did a selfie with it. And then later on, he wanted to borrow the jacket. He put it on and he was like, I'm going to go to Sundance with this thing. And I was going to let him go to Sundance. And then he came back and he said, no, it's not really me. The jacket was
a hit.
A total rock show.
Well, this is right in line with something I strongly believe in.
Yes.
Which is in an industry, whatever industry you're in, you really need to have a thing that stands out. Like, it's such a great icebreaker.
Right. It gives somebody something to walk up to you and go, I like your jacket. Right. Where did you get it? Or,
well, when you see somebody wearing something that you like, it stands to reason maybe you have something in common.
Right.
You know? So it's easier to go up and speak to a stranger. Like, I have crazy purses, like fringy, crazy purses.
Right. And earrings.
Sometimes
you
earrings.
You do some funky earrings.
But like most of the time, I get compliments on my purse.
Right.
And it gives you an opportunity to open up a conversation.
That's right.
And especially at a networking event, I believe you should wear something that invites people to talk to you. And sometimes we'll spend several hours picking out an outfit so that it will get compliments.
Well,
I enjoy treating you like my Ken doll.
I am a living doll for you.
Yeah.
That you get to dress up.
Well, and you're open to wearing some interesting things.
I'm here for the Kenergy. I am. It's time for our second reading of Origian.
We're going to edit the next section of Origian.
Okay.
And it was very interesting the last time that we did it because I haven't read this in a long time.
You really are getting a sense of, okay, this is what an audience is going to see. You are the first audience.
Okay, the last thing that happened was the big flood where the family escaped.
Right.
And then there was the Ian Solange we met.
With his mother.
And now, remember, the last thing that we saw was Celia in the car having a video conversation or a conversation with Ian Solange. She was on a video call before when he called.
Okay.
And this is now returning back to her video call she's having with her team. Interior, Cardi's kitchen day. Cardi, a publicist in her 20s, is making a bagel while on a video call with Celia. She notices Celia has unmuted.
Cardi, what's the word?
Celia, he wants to include any and all jokes or comedic takes on the reveal.
Exterior, Omar's pool day. Omar, a public relations guru in his 20s, is outside at his pool while on the video call.
Omar, research shows Solange trending into Willy Wonka territory, mostly golden ticket comparisons.
Cardi, mixed with the Grim Reaper.
Omar, so pretty much on brand.
Celia, let's give him exactly what he asked for. We'll just hope he has a thick skin. I'll search streaming and broadcast. Cardi, you take text and non-video. Omar, you're on socials.
The three of them start to search their computers.
Exterior, Mountain Road day. The drone follows the three vehicles around the curves of the Serpentine Road.
Interior, Black Vehicle Day. 5 beefy men who have the look of mercenaries are riding in silence. Some are heavily tattooed. They're wearing black golf shirts with an ornate O insignia on the pocket. They are also wearing N95 masks.
Lead security. We're about 20 out. This could be a press op. We're staying low-key invisible. John, you're perimeter. Miguel, you and Martin stay loose and cover transport. Brian, you and I are primary. Exterior, Mountain Road day. The surveillance drone flies over the 3 cars closer. Suddenly, a larger security drone flies past the surveillance camera. The security drone dips down and focuses on the red car, setting itself up above the vehicle. This is cool because you got like drones and, well, one of the things I think we wanted to do is we wanted to, since this is a little bit futuristic, we wanted the technology to sort of be pretty front and center in this thing.
Yeah, it's like a little bit into the future. I think it's like 2040.
Yeah. You're 20 or 30 years or, something like that.
The one thing that's really annoying, we set out to write this with not worrying about the budget.
Right. That was the whole concept.
Right?
Right.
Because
To not care.
And you can tell because of those tiny little scenes.
Right.
Because normally that costs too much money.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like that scene itself will cost you, several $1,000s to get your drone and your other drone and your whole,
like the guy at the pool, that's a house.
Yeah.
You got to get that house. Cardi's house is a house. You got to get that house.
Right.
And it's just for these tiny little scenes. On a smaller budget, you wouldn't do that.
But it gives it the scope. It gives it the worldwide scope that you want.
You got to everybody's got to get to some new location.
You can't be thinking about that, babe.
You got to unload everything. You got to set everything up. You got to do the scene.
This is going to be somebody else's problem.
Like 15 minutes.
Somebody else's problem.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's the thing. I have a very hard time writing without considering how much this is costing.
We're going to go to outer space here, babe.
Hey, spoiler alert.
You know what I love? I love the fact that every time we do this, and even if we redo it, it comes out different.
Well, I don't think that you can replicate something.
You can't try to replicate anything.
No.
I
mean, we covered the same things.
Yeah.
But, there's still like the Curse. We finished the Curse.
Oh God, yeah.
We started True Detective.
Yeah,
there's
that's
a
true.
lot of things
we watched
coming.
some movie called Finest Kind last night, which was just crazy.
Yeah. That was interesting.
That was trying to be a Taylor Sheridan movie, is what that was trying to be. And even Taylor Sheridan was like the executive producer.
What's a good Tommy Lee Jones young movie? Because after Flowers of the Killer Moon, I really wanted to see Heat.
Right.
Because I wanted to see De Niro back.
Back in his prime. Yeah. The young De Niro.
Yeah.
Or younger De Niro. He's not young in Heat, but yeah.
No. But that's like, I like that range, like the 40s.
You could do Sweet Dreams.
Ed Harris is in Sweet Dreams.
Oh, no. There's Sweet Dreams, and then there's is it Coal Miner's Daughter?
Is Tommy Lee Jones in
No, it's Coal Miner's Daughter that he's in.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah, he's very young in that. But he did a great job. And Ben Foster, who I love.
One of the reviews, though, said that Ben Foster was like in a totally different movie than everybody else.
Right.
Like, he and Tommy Lee were very high quality, like, pulling out really emotional, character-driven performances,
right.
And everybody else was like in Disney
like,
movies.
La 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 la. We're in Netflix's
uneven.
series Outer Banks. Yeah, that was the
right. I was like, I don't know how many other good actors were in that. I did like the girl from the Wednesday Addams girl,
Jenny Ortega.
Yeah, I did think she did a good job, but
I mean, I think she had a interesting character.
Anyway, we're going to talk about that on the next podcast.
Okay. We're going to talk about all that stuff.
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it right now. Okay. I love you. How do we end? How do we usually end? I always forget how we end.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow.